going to keep this review short because this movie doesn't deserve any more of my time. First things first, I still like The Force Awakens. I don't think it is as great of a film as I did when it first came out, but I'll still call it a solid flick. The best thing Disney has made with Star Wars, which isn't saying much, and I am aware Rogue One exists, and it has its fans. I am not one of them. When I first saw The Last Jedi, I really liked it. You could tell it was really well crafted, well directed, the visuals were amazing. The story was the issue, although back when the film came out, my enjoyment outweighed the negative by such a large margin that I didn't care that much by its flaws. Rewatching the film since then does make me reflect on just how much of a mess the story is. I honestly don't know what to rate this film. It varies from great scenes to whatever this was supposed to be. For now, I'm giving The Force Awakens a 6 out of 10 and The Last Jedi a 5 out of 10. And that brings us to The Rise of Skywalker, the most incompetent, incoherent mess since the Star Wars prequels. In some aspects, it manages to be even worse than those films. There will be spoilers, by the way. Things like the effects, the settings and stuff like that, all that is still pretty good. Although I can't tell you just how great the CGI is, because the version of the film I saw wasn't very good. But at least it was nice of Disney to make the film available online in Italian. Thanks, Disney. The acting was fine, so was the music. I don't know why, but for some reason the score didn't feel as extraordinary as it normally does in a Star Wars movie. Maybe it was because what was happening throughout the screen left me so irritated that not even great music could appease my mind. I don't know, all I know is that the music didn't impress me. Now for the negatives. This entire film is a massive pile of shit. The first 15 minutes come off like a parody of a Star Wars film. And yes, it has to do with how they explain Emperor Palpatine being back. It looked desperate and clumsy, and some moments even felt like the people behind the film knew that it was pathetic and didn't make any sense, so they tried to make it comedic. Bo literally says that somehow Palpatine is back, and I just laughed. It was actually pretty funny the way he said it.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
This movie is so fucking good!
Palpatine literally sent a text to everyone in the galaxy announcing his return. This movie's premise is ridiculous. The entire film doesn't even feel like a proper film, more like a random episode of a TV show in which the plot involves finding out who Rey is, and the answer to that question isn't even satisfying, because Rey hasn't been developed or fleshed out as a character. They just have her go through the same shit Luke went through. There's nothing original or interesting about her story, and this is something that truly annoyed me, because I'm one of the few people who defended Rey back when The Force Awakens came out. I still to this day will defend that everything she does throughout the film can be explained by just watching episode 7. But here, Rey is just a plot device to recycle everything Luke did. And apparently both she and Kylo Ren are the most powerful beings in the universe. The Force allows them to do anything they need. They can heal people from fatal wounds, bring people back from the dead, anything. There are no rules anymore. I was okay with them being able to teleport objects and stuff like that, since that was something that was developed in The Last Jedi, but every other use of the Force was just... no. That's not how the Force works. That's how plot contrivances work. Finn and Poe were also plot devices. Finn to a worst extent, he's not a character at all. Poe still has that natural charm and charisma, but that is more because the actor himself is charismatic. Finn just looks defeated, almost like John Boyega knew that this movie wasn't going to be very good, so why even bother to try? They completely wasted his character. He was a stormtrooper and they did nothing with it. He just became another resistance fighter. None of the new characters stand out by themselves. Kylo Ren had potential, but the fact that he needs 3 films to go through one arc that should only really take 1 or maybe 2 movies to resolve just shows that no one had any idea on what to make with him. He just looks cool as a Vader wannabe, and I guess that was enough for Disney. The only scenes that I could call emotional are ones where characters from the old movies were involved. And you don't care because you are invested in what they have been doing so far in the story. You care because you actually give a shit about the original Star Wars movies. Films where those characters were developed and had personalities instead of just fancy character designs. And I despise how they treated C-3PO in the film. There was this moment where everyone looked at him and then he looks back to see if something was happening behind him. It was such a nice moment that reminded me how funny C-3PO can be. So you know what they decided to do? They killed him. They needed to translate a piece of information, but in order to have C-3PO do that, they had to hack into his mind. But doing that would delete his memory forever, so he would essentially die. Even so, he agrees to be sacrificed for the greater good. And afterwards, they use his death as a cheap ploy for laughs.
I am C-3PO human-cyborg relations, and you are?
Okay, that's gonna be a problem.
This movie is so fucking good!
And you know what's worse? If C-3PO hadn't rebooted when he did, then the gang of wannabe characters would have just left his corpse in that place, not even showing respect to the fact that the droid, someone who was supposed to be their friend, allowed himself to be sacrificed so they could save the fucking galaxy. It's almost like they didn't give a shit about him at all. And to make matters even worse, 1 hour later into the film, R2-D2 brings him back. Turns out he had a backup of C-3PO's memory after all, pretty much invalidating his whole death scene and confirming that the scene itself was just a cheap ploy to make you care for this shitty film. It's like Disney is at the same time desperate to please Star Wars fans, but also wants to spit in their face. I don't have anything else to say. This movie was disgusting. I have no intentions on ever watching it again. I hate it, I loathe it, I despise it. I wish it never fucking existed and the trilogy ended with The Last Jedi. I'm giving Rise of Skywalker a 3 out of 10. I do not recommend this film.